Ever feel that little shiver of something? You're standing on a London Underground platform, that hum in the air, you're not imagining it. That's the sound of 630 volts of direct current coursing through the veins of the tube network. The power rails, you see them every day, those 2 extra rails running alongside the tracks. But have you ever wondered about their story? A story that, like London itself, is built on innovation, tragedy, and a relentless drive for safety. To understand the tube's power, we have to go back to the very beginning. It's the late 19th century. London is choking on steam and smoke. The world's first underground railway, the Metropolitan Line, is a success, but it's a filthy, suffocating experience. The solution? Electricity. In 1890, the City and South London Railway, the world's first deep-level electric railway, opens its doors. It's a marvel. Clean, quiet, futuristic. Damned. And it's all thanks to a simple, ingenious idea: the third rail. This early design was straightforward. It's an extra steel rail, placed between the running rails, carrying the electrical current. A metal shoe on the underside of the train car would slide along this rail, collecting power. It worked. And for a while, it was enough. But as the network grew, so did the risks. This original design, the top contact third rail, was completely exposed. Imagine that, a live rail, just sitting there. In the controlled environment of a deep-level tube tunnel, this was less of a problem. The public was kept far away, and only trained railway workers were ever near the tracks. But then the tube started to venture out from the darkness. Lines like the Metropolitan and District Railways, which had initially used steam, began to electrify. They had huge sections of track running on the surface, crisscrossing London's suburbs. Now that exposed third rail wasn't just in a tunnel. It was out in the open, vulnerable to everything London's weather could throw at it. And tragically, accessible to anyone who might stray onto the tracks. The first major sign of trouble came not from human error, but from nature itself. London winters were, and still are, notoriously damp. But what happens when that dampness turns to ice and snow? The early top contact system was a disaster waiting to happen. Heavy snowfall would cover the rail, insulating it. Ice would form on the surface, preventing the collector shoes from making contact. Trains would grind to a halt, stranding thousands of passengers. It was an operational nightmare. But the real turning point, the event that forced a fundamental rethink, was a series of tragic accidents. We have to remember, in the early 20th century, health and safety was a new concept. Railway work was incredibly dangerous. Track workers, known as plate layers or gangers, were the unsung heroes of the network, maintaining the tracks day and night. They worked with basic tools, often in poor light, right next to these live rails. Accounts from the time are grim. A moment's distraction, a misplaced foot, a stumble in the dark. That's all it took. The high-voltage DC current was unforgiving. These incidents, often happening in the dead of night with few witnesses, highlighted a deadly flaw in the system. It wasn't just workers at risk. As the surface lines expanded, they ran through increasingly populated areas. There were harrowing reports of trespassers and even children playing near the lines who came into contact with the live rail. The press and public were horrified. The live rail, as it became known in the headlines, was painted as a silent killer snaking its way through the city. There was a public outcry. The railway companies, facing mounting pressure and the grim reality of the situation, knew something had to change. The system was powerful and efficient, but it was also lethal. The solution came from American ingenuity, which was then adapted and perfected for the unique challenges of the London Underground. The problem was the exposure. So, how do you protect the rail? You cover it? This led to the development of the shrouded or insulated third rail. Instead of the collector shoe running on top, the rail was essentially flipped upside down. A new design was created where the rail is suspended from insulated pots, and its top and sides are covered by a thick, non-conductive fiberglass or ceramic sheath. Now, the collector's shoe on the train makes contact from the bottom, a system known as underrunning or bottom contact. This simple change was revolutionary. The live surface was now facing the ground, protected from rain, snow, and ice. The top and sides were covered by a physical, insulated barrier. It was no longer possible to accidentally step on the live surface. The Southern Railway, which operated a vast network of suburban lines out of London, was one of the first major systems in the UK to adopt this safer design on a large scale. But the real test was integrating it into the complex, aging network of the London Underground. This was a monumental undertaking. Miles upon miles of track had to be retrofitted. It was expensive, time-consuming, and complex, but it was non-negotiable. The new system proved its worth almost immediately. The number of accidents involving track workers and the public plummeted. The operational benefits were huge too. The protected rail was far less susceptible to ice and snow, dramatically improving winter reliability. Trains no longer ground to a halt because of a bit of frost. But there was another piece to this safety puzzle. The London Underground uses a unique four-rail system. If you look closely today, you'll see not one, but two extra rails. There's the positive rail, the one we've been talking about, which sits outside the running rails and provides the 630 volts. But in the middle, there's a fourth rail. This is the negative return. In most railway systems, the return current flows back through the running rails. But in London's deep tubes, using the running rails as the return path could cause electrical currents to leak into the old cast iron tunnel linings, causing corrosion and interference. The fourth rail provides a dedicated, insulated path for the electricity to return, completing the circuit safely and protecting the very fabric of the tunnels. Today, when you stand on a platform, you're looking at the direct legacy of this century-long journey of innovation. That covered rail, the one with the warning signs, is the result of lessons learned in the hardest way possible. It represents a commitment to safety that was forged in tragedy. It's why you see those wooden boards covering the gaps at the end of the platforms, another barrier to prevent anything or anyone from falling into the track pit and onto the live rails. The system isn't foolproof. The danger is still very real. That's why the warnings are so stark and why trespassing on the tracks is so incredibly reckless. But the modern design is a world away from the exposed, lethal rails of the past. It's a testament to the engineers who solved a deadly problem, and a quiet memorial to those who lost their lives, whose sacrifices led directly to a safer journey for millions of people every single day. So next time you're waiting for your train, take a moment. Look at those rails. They're more than just metal and electricity. They're a piece of London's history, a story of progress, and a silent guardian on your journey. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey into London's hidden history interesting, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories from behind the scenes. Stay curious and stay safe.